Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today in this session. Thanks. We'd really like you to contribute on the chat, and we'd really love to know what kind of practitioner you are, so where you work, what kind of sector, what kind of clients you work with, just as we're waiting for people to join us at the last minute. Great, thank you, Beth. Getting us started.
It's always good. I'll do some introductions in a second, but it's always good for myself and Hannah to meet practitioners from other parts of the practice, because we work pretty much exclusively with higher education students. So it's always really interesting for us, isn't it, Hannah?
For sure, yeah, definitely.
Perfect. So we've hit 10-2, and we've got some really good numbers coming in now in terms of guest attendance. Should we start in a minute, Hannah, do you think?
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, they're all coming through now. Fantastic. Coming through all at once. Morning, everyone.
Hello.
Fantastic. So we've got quite a few people working with adults, quite a few working in secondary level, across the country as well, down in London, Scotland, Glasgow, which is fantastic. So myself and Hannah are currently based in Lancashire. It's quite sunny at the moment, which makes for a change. Hampshire, fantastic. St Andrews University. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this session. I hope that you're all enjoying the TechFest so far. Hopefully you can all see the screen that we're sharing. We'll make a start now, I think. Just as a couple of really quick introductions. So this session's focused on helping careers practitioners from lots of different areas of our practice feel more confident around using LinkedIn and using Twitter as part of your everyday. So it could be for yourself, and we'll talk about the learning outcomes in a second, but it could be for yourself, or it could be on behalf of your clients as well. My name's Matthew Howard. I'm the undergraduate careers manager here in the management school at Lancaster University. So I'm based in the northwest of England in Lancashire. My day job is helping students with any kind of careers and employability questions they might have. And I'm joined by my colleague, Hannah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah. Obviously, like Matthew, I'm a careers advisor working at Lancaster University. Unlike Matthew, I don't have a specialism of courses, so I deal with all students. And I also kind of lead our social media provision for the careers team as well. I'm also currently studying my qualification. I'm doing an apprenticeship at the moment, but it's really good to be with you today. So thank you for everyone putting things in the chat as we go through. And as you can see on the screen, we are users of LinkedIn and Twitter as well. We've probably both been on our own kind of journeys with love and maybe hate of both these platforms. So we're definitely not kind of trying to sell it to you as the only thing that you can do. But we just wanted to share with you some of our kind of things that we've done, things that we've enjoyed doing, things that have worked well for us, and giving you some ideas of what's going to be useful. But really, we're going to think about how you can grow your social media presence, if that's something that you want to do, both for yourself and also with other people and with your clients and networking with others. We want to help you think about how you can develop your profiles, your content, your posts, your reach, all those kind of things. And we also want to just make you aware of some of the kind of safeguarding and digital security things that are associated with the platform. And we know how important social media is for clients and also for ourselves as practitioners. There's a really good article, Chris referred to it this morning in the first session, the 21st Century HE Careers Professional. It's on our website called Prospect Illuminate. And basically this platform, this article just highlights how important social media is becoming for us as careers professionals. I know this is specific to HE, but I think it is relevant to all practitioners as well. So I definitely recommend having a look at that.
Fantastic. So as myself and Hannah mentioned, we both work with students at Lancaster University, so they're university level. And we do lots of training and lots of support with those students around using LinkedIn. We've run a really successful, what we call LinkedIn Academy. For the last couple of years, we've seen literally thousands of students that we've helped through workshops and training on how to use LinkedIn and how to also use Twitter as well in our day-to-day appointments to use these platforms for their own career development. But as Hannah mentioned, we're really mindful that these two platforms are also really useful for us as practitioners to share practice and for lots of other reasons as well. So we thought we'd just start off with a really quick kind of LinkedIn versus Twitter, just to kind of get us in the frame of mind. I'm aware that many of us on this particular call will have one or both of these platforms, but I'm also conscious that some of you might be very new to these platforms and might be wanting just to find out whether it's worth your while kind of getting one. First thing to say is that there's lots of similarities between LinkedIn and Twitter. They're both social media sites, both global networking sites. I think for LinkedIn, there's something like 760 million members worldwide, and the number of Twitter users is very similar as well. But there are a couple of small differences. So on LinkedIn, you can kind of write posts and articles that are maybe a little bit longer. Twitter is all about microblogging, so you've got smaller tweets, maybe 280 characters in length. There's a couple of different terminology differences, so connections on LinkedIn versus followers, and followers on Twitter. And when myself and Hannah were putting this session together, we did spend a bit of time reflecting on this, and we did both agree that to a point, LinkedIn is a lot more business focused. There's a lot more emphasis on professional networking, whereas Twitter might be a little bit more social, that you can show a little bit more personality. We certainly do feel a little bit more comfortable, I guess, to share possibly insights into our daily lives a little bit more than we would do on LinkedIn, and we'll talk about that. But LinkedIn and Twitter are both very useful in terms of having that vibrant community of careers practitioners. You can create engaging content on both platforms. And really, I think, particularly over the last year, and I'm sure this was mentioned in other sessions, whilst we've been in lockdown, LinkedIn and Twitter have both been fantastic at helping us connect our practice with others, to share ideas, to share challenges, to share concerns, and to see what else is happening across the whole of the CDI network as well. Professional networking is really important. LinkedIn, that's what it's all about. And Twitter, there's a lot more focus on kind of real-time trends, immediacy of posting, as well as a lot more opinions and conversations too. But just to say from the outset, there are some really key similarities between these two platforms, particularly from a career practitioner point of view. And at least for myself and Hannah, and I'm sure for others as well, this really comes down to that community element, the fact that there are users on these platforms sharing practice, sharing ideas, and also supporting our clients as well and our students with these two different platforms. And there's lots of other platforms too, but these are the two we're focusing on today. Next slide, please. Perfect. Now, one thing that we would really wanted to share with you today was an activity that we share with students and staff at Lancaster when considering Twitter, LinkedIn, or to be honest, any other social media platform as well from a career development point of view. And we always look at it through that lens of how these platforms can support career development or sharing of practice. So we do definitely recommend kind of taking a step back, whether you're quite new to these platforms, whether you're quite an experienced user just looking to kind of adapt and to make the most of your use of these different areas, these different platforms. Take a step back and to evaluate, exactly who is your target audience. We speak a lot, myself and Hannah, about how a lot of our content that we put on Twitter or on LinkedIn is all geared towards either other careers professionals. It could be that we want students or graduates to see things that we're kind of engaging with, or actually we could be wanting to get engaged more with employers as well. But we're kind of mindful of who our target audience is. And it's the same for everyone on this call, really. Many of you mentioned that you work with adults or work in different areas of the profession. Really evaluating firstly, why am I using these social media platforms to support career development for myself and for my clients as well? Is it useful? And that kind of comes into the second point of this, creating a bit of a plan of action, if you will. What will I be using the profile for? Am I using it to help others exclusively? Am I using it because I want to connect more with others for my own professional development? Events like this, the CDI Tech Conference, it's a really good way for you to reach out and to connect. And potentially these two platforms are a good way for you to continue the conversation after as well, which is fantastic. Thinking as well, kind of taking that step back, what are your key skills? What experiences do you want to share through these platforms? And we'll talk about kind of tone of voice and others as we go through this presentation. But the final thing is really being reflective and evaluatory and just thinking, are there any reasons why these platforms might not be the best for me? And I know that throughout this conference, there's been reference to other platforms like Instagram, for example, which has got its own, Hannah delivered a session yesterday with another colleague on that, which has got its own really good kind of positives. So really evaluating your use of time and whether or not these platforms are useful for you and for your clients, and being a little bit confident around possibly how these platforms are distinctively different to others as well. And we'll share that as we go through. But I think it's really important to plan. I'm a big planner. I know Hannah is as well, and evaluate your use of it as we go through. To give this presentation a little bit of structure, and again, me and Hannah probably could have spoke about this all afternoon, but we've condensed it into 40 minutes. So we thought we'd kind of focus on the 7 key steps to kind of building confidence, to building your brand as you go through using these platforms. The first thing is thinking back to what we spoke about at the beginning, this community aspect, and we're going to focus on that quite a bit to begin with, just how these 2 platforms can support you in building that community of practice around you. We'll speak about paying it forward, which essentially is supporting others. Quite a bit of content focused on kind of finding your voice, feeling more confident with creating content, with tweeting, and a little bit about kind of behind the scenes, if you will, areas to consider in terms of feeling more confident about any content that you do post and how successful you are being with engaging with others as well. So we'll be kind of taking you through in that process, I guess, that kind of view. Hannah?
So firstly, we wanted to think about how you can build some of this community, because for us, the LinkedIn and Twitter community from practitioner perspective is really valuable. I think for my practice, especially in this last year, the way that I've engaged and people have engaged with LinkedIn and Twitter with this kind of community of practice, I guess. So we just wanted to highlight some of those places where you could find some of these people that are going to be useful. Now, obviously, things like the CDI Fest, anything like that is a really good way to make connections. But also there is specific groups that you can join. You can just search these ones on LinkedIn. There's kind of sector specific ones. I'd also recommend having a look at some of the location things. So for us in the Northwest, it's worth having a look at this. And also think about your interests as well. So I genuinely believe that your career is not just about what you do at work, it's also about your whole life. So look at, if you're an alumni of a certain university, have a look at that alumni group. There's specific interests. So for us in HE, we have jobs.ac.uk, which is specific, obviously, HE. And also think about your other interests. So for me, I'm a trustee of a charity, and so I include some of that stuff on my interests on LinkedIn as well. So I'm in a group called Young Trustees Movement, which is quite nice as well. But equally, thinking a little bit more about Twitter, if my slides all move, they're being really slow today. We just wanted to highlight some of these accounts that we'd really recommend following, some of our favorite Twitter accounts. So you've got the kind of group ones, the organizational ones on the left-hand side. We've highlighted some specific individuals as well. So Mike from Grad Consult, Charlie Ball, and Tristan Hooley. I'd really recommend following them for just some information. And also they do a lot of retweeting as well, so you can find out that little bit more information. And the other thing that I really like about Twitter is it can be a little bit more fun. It can be that little bit more inspirational. So 2 of my favorite accounts personally, there's a account, this guy called Charlie Mackesy, and he has really nice like little illustrations, and I really like that. And if you want a funny account, I'd really recommend CV of the Week. They pick out things, maybe, I don't know if it's made up or a real careers advisor, who knows, it's anonymous, but funny things that people could include on a CV. I just really like that. It just makes me smile when I see things. I think we're going to show you an example a little bit later. But just wanted to highlight some of those Twitter accounts. Obviously, you can follow these and we'll send you these slides through afterwards. So don't feel like you've got to write them all down really quickly as well. But also, it's really important to kind of build that community in the way that you're interacting on these platforms. So obviously, share and like and comment and retweet your connections posts. Find those people that you really know and want to connect with. And think about how you can comment in a way that's thoughtful, but it's also building rapport with people and building a little bit of that community as well. So some things you might want to add on the right-hand side, showing what other people have done, highlighting other people's work, saying thank you to people, raising a bit more information. And that's really going to develop that relationship. How can you develop a relationship with someone online? Maybe we didn't think it was possible before COVID, but obviously now we know that it is possible. And I'd really say to you, if you're feeling a bit anxious about this, I've totally been there. I found it really stressful trying to get on LinkedIn and Twitter when I first started using it a little bit more professionally. But just give yourself that little push. Push yourself outside your comfort zone that little bit further. So maybe if you are feeling anxious about it or stressing about it, just give yourself a challenge to say, I'm going to post once a week and try and get that kind of consistency up. So every week think, okay, what can I post about this week? Once a week might be too much, once a week might not be enough, but just think about how can you push yourself that little bit further out of your comfort zone, and then hopefully that becomes the norm for you. And then finally, we just wanted to highlight, please flag and hide inappropriate comments and content. And there's been some chat there's been some talk in the chat box about how there's an increase in spam on LinkedIn. Yeah, it is getting a little bit spammy at the moment. So please just be reporting and hiding and flagging all those inappropriate comments that you might see. Hopefully not, but you might see on there.
As Hannah mentioned a few slides ago, there are some accounts that we absolutely love to follow, and it's for myself and Hannah, it's a lot of other kind of HE careers professionals, professional membership bodies, different organisations across the country, and we'd like to use LinkedIn to really find out what's happening across our practice, really. But one other key aspect to using LinkedIn or Twitter, it goes back to that community concept and being able to just help other people. And definitely the concept of kind of paying it forward, which I'm sure you'll be familiar with. And really that small gestures can lead to great goodwill. So myself and Hannah will use these two platforms, not necessarily to gain anything, we're wanting to connect with people, wanting to share practice. But a lot of the time we might see that another person is looking for a job, or somebody else is looking for some support with an idea, or some kind of initiative that they're running. A lot of the time, there may be kind of regional activities happening. So here in Lancashire or in Manchester that we do see quite a lot of as well. And, I think a really key aspect to both platforms, trying to bring some positivity to this, is the fact that you are building up connections or followers, and you are presenting to people, your best self in a way. But I think they're really, really, really useful platforms to help other people. So it's not just about kind of taking or kind of coming away with something yourself, but maybe supporting others, recommending others, endorsing others. As Hannah mentioned, commenting, liking, sharing ideas with other people. And it goes around to that concept of reciprocity that I think, certainly throughout the last 12 months, I've taken a lot of personal satisfaction in being able to help other people just with a few comments or a few referring on to other people, helping connect to others as well. To help boost the reach of people's posts, or to help people with something that they're struggling with as well. And one thing I would definitely say is that as a profession, I think we are really good at putting together some really impressive initiatives, really good programs, really good activities. And just lending a hand to people sometimes can work wonders, because you never know when that might come back to you and people would support you as well. So yeah, that's a really key aspect to both platforms. And just really to say, as Hannah mentioned, these platforms are a chance for you to network. But I always try and stay away from that word, really, and just think of that community. I'm trying to build up meaningful connections with people that I generally want to reach out to, generally want to help. And if I was in need of support, I'd hope that my connections would also help me as well. Next slide, please, Hannah. It's been slow. So there's a couple of examples from our practice, just on this concept of paying it forward. On the left-hand side, again, you might not be able to see because it's a little bit small, but we will share the slides after this session, and they'll be available on the CDI website. But just to say that we do come into contact with a lot of students, particularly at Lancaster, who might be looking to start a business, or they're looking to get an idea off the ground. And sometimes we do see content on LinkedIn or on Twitter where we've got our clients essentially asking for support or for conversations with people that might be able to help them. Now, a lot of the time, I don't fully know actually how I could help this person. So the example there on the left, it was a student who was looking to set up a business actually in the nightlife industry. So it was some kind of app, some kind of loyalty app. Personally, I don't know anyone that works in that sector, or at least at the time I didn't. But I was kind of the mindset, if I interact with this post, if I like it, if I comment on it, if I share it, maybe this particular person will be able to have some support from other people. So it's kind of like helping, but in a way that is kind of maybe spreading the reach, really important. if you retweet something, if you share something on LinkedIn, retweet something on Twitter, you are sharing the reach of that post, and it's a chance for you to spread the word and to gather some support for that as well. The example there on the right, which for me looks very small, so apologies for that, but we will be sharing the slides. But just highlighting other people's practice. And, I'm sure a lot of the sessions that you've attended over the last day or so have highlighted some really fantastic initiatives, including podcasts, including webinar series, etc. One of them that we've got at Lancaster, led by Hannah, is a podcast called Get That Grad Job. And another member of the CDI actually shared that this podcast existed with their network, and that increased the reach of Hannah's kind of listeners, but also helped share that practice with others that might not be familiar with it as well. And that's a really good habit to get into. So not only using these platforms to promote things that you're doing, but also to really help give a voice to people who you network with as well. And it can come back in a really positive way, can't it, Hannah, as well? You do start to build up meaningful connections with people. And it can seem strange, and that's something I've felt very unconfident about, actually, building up connections with strangers. But I think because we're all in the same profession, we're all, obviously professionals, we're wanting to support our students and our clients. There's kind of a shared purpose there, and I think it can really help us move forward.
Absolutely. There's loads of people that I've met through LinkedIn and Twitter that I've never met in real life. So it's quite nice to kind of share some of that content and some of that insight. And often I think in the past I've put like a question like, actually, I'm really struggling with this thing. And people have just kind of got back to me and helped me, and I've never met them. And it's a really nice way just to help other people.
And just to add as well, like using these two platforms to build those connections, to become familiar with what other services, what other people are doing. But you can always have a conversation as well. Like a lot of the time I will speak to someone that works at a different university through LinkedIn or Twitter, and then have a Teams call or a phone call or a Zoom call or any other platform that you wish, just to kind of continue that conversation. And I think I'm getting to that point in the pandemic now where I'm becoming very aware that a lot of people I know now that I recently met, I've not met in real life. And hopefully I will get to connect with these people, with some of you who are listening actually in real life in the future as well.
Absolutely. So when we're thinking about posting, it's worth thinking about what your brand voice is going to be. So who are you going to be on LinkedIn, on Twitter? How are you going to show your authentic self, which is kind of important, I think, for me. I want to see an actual person. I don't want to see a bot or an artificial intelligence kind of thing that we were talking about earlier. I just want to see a genuine person. So what is your brand? What is your personality? How can you show your authentic self through that? You might want to think about what kind of reaction you want from your content. So do you want someone to follow and click on something else, to book an event, to appreciate your work, to highlight what you've done, to gain a reaction of like support? Think about what you're posting and how you're going to have that brand voice. Think about who you want to be on the social media, which sounds like a really weird question, but it is really worth thinking about who do you want to be on social media. So who are your audience? Who is your audience? I know we've talked a little bit in the chat before about actually as careers advisors, we have quite a wide audience. We've got our clients, employers, colleagues, other careers professionals. That's quite a wide audience. So think about each platform, who you're going to focus on. For me, I probably focus my Twitter less on, I don't really focus it on students. I mainly focus it on colleagues and other careers professionals. And Matthew, I think you're the same as well. And so think about how you can establish that voice and inject some of your personality as well. Matthew just unmuted. I thought he was going to say something.
I was just waiting for the next slide. Sorry. And just add into that, I definitely agree, Hannah. I think I do use LinkedIn a lot more for kind of connecting with students and alumni, and certainly because of considerations like GDPR, we don't have that many different channels of communication now with our graduates. So LinkedIn can be really useful to continue those conversations and to provide a service, a career service for life. So it's a touch point for us. It's a window into our service. And it was mentioned in the chat, can you have a departmental LinkedIn account? We definitely have one, and it's really useful as a kind of window into the service, if you will. With Twitter, a lot more focused on kind of networking with colleagues like yourselves, with employers as well. and sharing practice. I've probably got the odd graduate on there that has followed me, but it's very small engagement on that kind of front, really. But just in terms of content, Hannah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
Definitely, thank you. And so when you're thinking about content, obviously you've got to think about your brand and what you're going to share. Thinking about all these kind of things that we've talked about so much. There's loads that we could share with you on this. Honestly, me and Matthew could talk about this for days, I think. But think about what is it that you're wanting to share. How can you boost your credibility? How can you encourage collaboration? And we really want you to be change makers. How can you make change? Twitter, especially with the CDI, and obviously LinkedIn as well. How can you encourage some of that conversation that's going on, maybe with your non-careers followers and with your non-careers professional followers? How can you show what we're doing as a sector as well and highlight that, I guess? So in terms of LinkedIn, we've kind of got Twitter, obviously you've just got tweeting, whereas on LinkedIn, you've got the kind of more information that you can do. For me, I 99% of the time will do a short form post, the middle one, but you can also write articles and you can also write videos. I haven't tried videos. Matthew, I know something you've not tried, but some of our students have used videos and it's been really, really beneficial for them. So just thinking about that sharing of content, how can you share engaging content, articles, short form posts and videos on LinkedIn, just highlighting that to you. So let's think this a little bit more practically. So I'd really like to know, what kind of things do you think you could share online, whether that's you or whether it's a client? What kind of things would you want to share on LinkedIn and Twitter? And if you can go on to Menti, just use your phone or your laptop or whatever device you're on, and you can go to menti.com. I'm presuming a lot of you will have used Menti before in the past year. The code is 17085668. And just let us know, what could you share? And hopefully this is going to switch across now. You can see the code at the top of the screen as well. And I'm hopeful that through sharing this information with each other, we can give each other some ideas of things that we could post. Yeah, new ideas, new things that you've done. Yeah, absolutely. If you've worked out a way to get students and clients to come to your events, even though they've booked, let us know. That is one of my big frustrations. Yeah, this is really good stuff. Hopefully you can see it all. And actually, there's differences between what you can share and what a client can share, but also there is a lot of similarities as well. I think it's worth thinking about your brand. So for me and Matthew, we are quite encouraging and supportive. So we probably would celebrate the successes of students, of colleagues. We probably would be promoting things. And advertising. I do a lot of advertising on LinkedIn of workshops and stuff that we've got going on.
Yeah, particularly over the last 12 months. I think LinkedIn in particular has been incredibly useful for sharing updates about our service and activities that we're running. And it could be projects, it could be, you know, like Hannah's podcast, for example. But I think LinkedIn can be a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting than us continually sending emails to students. So for that variety, it's worked quite well.
For sure.
But just to say as well, over the last 12 months, we have taken a lot of encouragement and built up a lot of confidence, myself and Hannah and the career service at Lancaster, just to see what others are doing at other universities and just to see that everyone else is in the same position, you know, having to reinvent activities for it to be online, and now thinking about how we can actually move into kind of a hybrid model as well. So, you know, I think it helps you, just these two platforms helps you to support clients, but also to make yourself feel a bit more confident. And one thing that's not necessarily mentioned there, I've not picked up on, but also just picking up insights into what companies are doing, what's happening in different job sectors. It can be really challenging sometimes just to keep up to date with all that kind of stuff. But on your newsfeed, you'll start to receive some really good insights. And there are also, like someone's mentioned there, competitions and opportunities. Sometimes I've picked up some really brilliant initiatives just by browsing through LinkedIn or Twitter that I've then shared with my students on a module or through some other platform as well. So it's a good source of information.
Definitely. And I know for me, like I've seen what other careers advisors have done and thought, that's such a good idea. Let's do that at Lancaster. And for me, I think we are all aiming to help our students, to help our clients into work and to develop their employability, to develop their confidence, all that kind of stuff. So for me, I think let's be sharing ideas. It doesn't matter, we're not in competition with each other. So let's start sharing some of these ideas a little bit more. So thanks everyone for sharing all that information.
Thank you.
But
And
really,
hopefully that just gives you a bit of confidence as well that we're all kind of hoping to use LinkedIn and Twitter for the same reasons.
absolutely. And
Sorry, Hannah.
really, all we want to do on LinkedIn and Twitter is for you to be authentic. We want you to show your real self. So show and celebrate the things that you've done, but also share those challenges because the chances are someone else is going to be someone else is going to be having those challenges as well. So really do just be authentic in how you act on these social media platforms.
Brilliant. So thinking about everything that we've mentioned so far and, thinking about yourself as a practitioner, thinking about yourself supporting students and clients as well, we definitely recommend with any of these platforms, possibly more so on LinkedIn, it's about quality over quantity. So we don't, myself and Hannah don't usually post things every week. We post as and when it's required. We do find it's really useful, as we mentioned, for ourselves to use LinkedIn to connect with students. And there's a question there from one of the participants. We have found that students do really value engaging with us through LinkedIn, our own service announcements, but also to support students with kind of their career development as well. When it comes to Twitter, we probably do post a little bit more regularly as well. It's a bit quicker, more real time, if you will. But it's all about that interacting. I do spend quite a bit of time, thinking about colleagues that I could tag if I'm writing a post, either that's on Facebook, not Facebook, if it's on LinkedIn or on Twitter. If you tag a colleague on either platform, it presents them with a notification and it helps spread the reach of something that you're trying to do. Somebody mentioned that they're working on a project. And I think if you're looking to kind of get that project off the ground, if you're looking to have support from your colleagues that you work with, using tagging can be really useful for that. And we do that a lot through our social media at Lancaster. Hashtags are brilliant on either platform, probably more on Twitter, because it helps spread the reach of any post that you're putting together. And some key things to say is, really need to be mindful of accessibility and copyright, putting the alt text on in the images, as well as making sure that you own the image itself. We will share a link to a really useful guide that we use at Lancaster called the Falcon Size Guide. If you're wondering about any visuals to use, kind of making sure you've got dimensions correct on sort of a post. I spend quite a lot of time myself, actually, I know Hannah does too, on Canva, which is a really good tool for creating bespoke images and content. And just knowing the dimensions does really help me as well. But a key thing is for all these different things we mentioned and for the both platforms is trying to keep things quite conversational, trying to keep things quite easy to read. I'm a really big believer in taking your followers and your connections on a journey. So if I've got an event coming up in a few weeks, I would mention that I've got the event coming up. I'd mention, a couple of days before that this event is happening. I'm really looking forward to it, making sure that I've tagged the right people, making sure I've used the right hashtags in terms of trying to get that awareness. Maybe as well on the day itself, doing some kind of coverage on Twitter. Twitter is absolutely brilliant, as I'm sure it is today for the CDI TechFest, of sharing real-time updates and people's ideas and insights. And then you can use the platforms, again, to reflect as well. So you can really take your followers and connections on a journey. Whilst you're doing that, you're obviously mentioning a little, sharing a little bit more about your own experiences, hopefully coming across as a really good, engaged professional as well. So yeah, a couple of top tips around boosting engagement. But I do think using either platform and being aware that it's a community, tagging colleagues is a really, really good tip that I definitely recommend. Next slide, please. Now, with both LinkedIn and with Twitter, the other side to this is that you can keep a really good eye on actually how successful a post has been. So it could be an article, it could be a video, it could be a post on LinkedIn, it could be a tweet, but there is an analytics function on both platforms. So just as a point of confidence, if you're wondering, I posted something last week, I shared an article, or I tweeted about something that I'm really passionate about in relation to working with my clients, I wonder whether or not it's been successful. Well, one surefire way of knowing is the number of likes you receive, any comments, any kind of interactions actually on the post. But by clicking into the analytics, you'll also see how many impressions your post has had, the reach of your post, and kind of how many views your post has had. And to be honest, when considering LinkedIn, the big kind of indication to me about whether or not my post has been successful is how many people have viewed it. So actually, has it reached the right type of people? If I'm targeting students that I work with, are students viewing this post? Is it not students? Is it someone else? And that continual evaluation is really crucial. But on both platforms, really straightforward. The analytics function is there for you to have a look at. And I definitely recommend taking a look, because it will more than likely give you a bit of confidence that you are doing exactly the right thing. Next slide, please. And the other thing, just building on that, is considering thinking about building your brand, building confidence. So building up that community aspect to both platforms is a very simple equation, and this is as complicated as an equation as I would like to share, because I'm not very good at maths. But thinking about, actually, if you do publish regularly, if you do create engaging content, whether that's as a service or as an individual, whether you're using LinkedIn, whether you're using Twitter, whether you're using Instagram, as is mentioned in the chat, that helps to build up a little bit of a brand reputation for yourself as someone who might be an expert in your area, somebody that knows something on a particular topic, or somebody that's really passionate to help others as well. Then thinking about combining that with being authentic, as Hannah's mentioned, trying not to be someone you're not, trying to be as true to yourself as possible. And that's something we definitely share with our students and our grads. That will naturally help you build up a strong brand for yourself and build more confidence in using the platforms. There are, pros and cons to using both platforms, and we'll share a few before the end. But I do think it's important to think about the engagement and kind of the time that you're putting into either platform, actually what you're getting out of it. And as one of the delegates mentioned there, everyone loves statistics, or some people love statistics at least. And I think it's good just to have that little bit of support as well, that you are building up your posts in the right way.
Absolutely. So we really just, in the last couple of minutes, wanted to share with you some ideas of things that we've used posts and we've used social media for, things that have gone well for us, things that we would recommend for you guys using it. So having a look at LinkedIn, obviously these are small, you probably can't read them, but have a look at these slides afterwards. But really on LinkedIn, have a look at how you can celebrate success. Think about those milestones, but also think about how you can be reflective and encouraging other people. Obviously, it's all about that portfolio as well on LinkedIn. Whereas if you have a look at Twitter, these are some of our Twitter examples. It is, again, about celebrating success. But also, for me on Twitter especially, it's more about contributing to the conversation around careers as a sector and as individuals, sharing some of that practice and challenges, and bringing in some of that social change. We want to develop that social change with whatever sector you are working in, whether it's HE, students, whatever. Think about how you can bring about that social change using Twitter. But also, it is a little bit fun. So I love the tweet on the kind of top right-hand side. Me and Matthew both have first names as last names. Yeah, first names as last names. And people always call us Howard and Alison. And so that one made me laugh. It could be a lot worse. But just think about how you can share some fun as well around the sector. You can see one of the CV highlight of the weeks up there. I love that CV highlight of the week account. But also think about how you can share your practice with other people as well. So here we've given you some more examples of sharing good practice, sharing updates for the sector and for your profession, sharing the things that you've done. If you've written an article or done a blog or done a podcast, whatever it is that you've done, sharing your events and stuff that you've done, and engaging with your connections. And for us, it's really about celebrating the work of others as well. I'd say me and Matthew have a similar brand in that we want to celebrate the work of others. Now, that if that's not authentic to you, then don't do that. But how can you be authentic in your posts as well? Just before we finish, we also wanted to highlight some of the things that we've done to help our clients with this. So obviously, I'm sure like a lot of you, we help support students, especially with LinkedIn, in one-to-one appointments. We do health checks of profiles. We really highlight the alumni tool to students. I think the alumni tool on LinkedIn is one of my favorite things about LinkedIn. thinking about, again, that professional portfolio. But also, me and Matthew, we have run a LinkedIn Academy that I can really recommend having doing for yourself if you've got relevant students and clients that would be interested in that. Matthew also includes LinkedIn in careers modules. We've talked about it on our podcast, and we also include it in our employability award. Students have to create a LinkedIn profile as well. We've also included on there, we have a careers Twitter account as well that I'd really recommend having a look at if you want to start using Twitter a little bit more professionally in terms of reaching your clients. So, Matthew, just want to do this last little bit.
Yeah, so very much a whistle-stop tour of using LinkedIn and using Twitter. We're both very happy for you to reach out to us, but before we finish, we just wanted to finish on a really important note. Just to say that we do get lots of students and lots of our clients who are concerned about data privacy, well-being, and it's the same with practitioners. And I think it's so important that you do, encourage, as well as yourselves, do look into the data that you are sharing. There's lots of things to consider around whether or not you're comfortable with how your data is used, how visible you are on LinkedIn, for example. But both platforms have got really good kind of behind the scenes areas for you to have a look to see if you're comfortable with this. Particularly important if you are working with kind of college level students or vulnerable adults or anyone else, just making sure that these platforms are used in the best and most appropriate way. We've got a quick question, so I'll answer it really quickly. The LinkedIn Academy is a series of 3 workshops that we've delivered each term at Lancaster, help students build a profile, make the most of their profile, and then to actually put things in action, I guess, by writing content using LinkedIn as well. You're very welcome to reach out to us. We're very happy to help you with anything around that as well. We found that lots of different ways to engage with students, and those are a couple that we just shared there. But yeah, I think we've kind of run over by 1 minute, so I do apologize. But just to say, it's been a pleasure to speak with you today. This is very much an insight. It's a little bit of a snapshot into the work that myself and Hannah are doing. We have ran a couple of previous sessions on using LinkedIn through the CDI, and I'm sure that they're available on the CDI website for you to take a look at if you wish to. And no doubts we'll hopefully be running a longer session in the future as well. But hopefully this has been a useful snapshot for all of you. And if you wish to reach out to us, you're more than welcome to do so. I think our contact details are on the next slide, Hannah, is that right? Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the TechFest. And yeah, just remember, it's all about community. And I think, we're definitely in a really strong space within careers and employability for us to share practice and help each other and be authentic. And yeah, join lots of CDI related Twitter accounts and the like as well. But thank you so much. And it's really nice to speak with you today.